When you look at gaming today, I imagine it's like a big high school summer party, and everybody goes to Nintendo's house. And Nintendo's the kid who no one loves. He's kind of a jackass. He's got that early gross mustache thing that he should just shave, but everyone tolerates him because his mom is really cool and his dad is rich. So that house is loaded with the pool, the billiards table, he's got the video games, and he's got the ecto cooler, which like all you 90s kids will know about. And you got the usual suspects there, like PlayStation. Most people like PlayStation. He's a cool kid, and he's really good with the ladies. But he's got this problem where he makes too many promises he can't keep. Always saying he's got the best hookup, he's got the best games. But we all know he don't have any games. Steam and his little brother Steam Deck are there, but they hang out in the corner playing Pokemon cards with the Epic Games Store. Sometimes the girls, like the App Store and the Google Play, they show up, but they never stay very long. Usually they just come in to make sure they were seen, and they laugh like hyenas, so you're kinda happy when they leave, and they take all the normie guys with them too. And then there's Xbox. Xbox is a troubled youth. Early on, he was the star quarterback of the century. Everybody thought he was going to the big leagues, like he was gonna get a pro scholarship or something. And then the injury happened. Yeah, out on the field, he broke his X-Bone 1, or what they say happened. He tore his Kinect. He tore his Kinect. It was a severed Kinect. And you know how it is. Even after surgery, you just can't play the same way after a Kinect injury. So now, years later, like he still comes around, but he's self-conscious after the injury. And he's turned into a massive people pleaser, always trying to jump into everybody else's conversations, never really starting any of his own. And that sucks, because everyone at the party wants Xbox to just be himself and maybe tell us more about him. We all know he's got gears grinding and fables in his heart. We all know he's got a golden halo on his head. But he's got a really bad therapist. And so the night carries on, and Nintendo announces that Daddy's buying him a Mercedes as a graduation present, but he doesn't know how to drive the damn thing. So Xbox heads home and feels a little left out, and he calls his buddy Todd for some emotional support. Don't worry about it, man. Screw them if they're gonna leave you out. You are the grand champion, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And so later that night, Xbox goes home and installs World of Warcraft. Zug zug. Welcome to The Pondering. I am the real-life fake wizard. If this video brings you any value at all, I invite you to subscribe to this channel where we're covering similar topics nearly every day. Earlier this week, Phil Spenser appeared on a podcast with Destin here on YouTube, and while I don't know Destin or who he is, he asked some pretty good questions, and Phil gave some very corporate answers. I've always liked Phil. He seems like a really cool guy. Like I would love to sit down and have a coffee with him and talk about his philosophy, but like for real. Don't give me the corporate speak. Tell me what you really think, Phil. And I know that won't ever happen, because I think I called him a bozo a few videos back. Yikes. It was a joke. But in that interview, two big points came up that I want to address: Xbox exclusivity and the identity of Xbox. Now, Xbox has made a name for themselves in the current generation for acquiring major studios, like a python eating another python, spending billions of dollars to merge already massive companies into the Xbox fold. Turning Bethesda and Blizzard Activision into Microsoft-owned companies is going to go down in the history books. But what we have to wait and see is if those books will talk positively or negatively about the decisions made. Discussions have been floating around for some time that Xbox's strategy now is not to have the best hardware anymore, but to have the games. Notice I didn't say they were the best games. And this has kind of become more and more evident. I don't think anybody is saying the Xbox is the greatest hardware anymore. And to Xbox's defense, it doesn't matter. The whole console wars debate is ridiculous and stupid. We're not living in 2007 anymore. You don't have to choose between God of War 3 and Viva Pinata. Get a grip. There are hundreds of channels on here that belittle and attack each other over superficial bullshit, like, oh my god, it's 0.01 FPS better if I spend $700 on my mom's credit card. Only a minority of people actually give a shit about having the absolute bestest and greatest hardware. You know why? 1, it's ridiculously expensive. 2, it's outdated 6 months after you buy it. It's like a car. You drive it off the lot and it lost 30% of its value. 3, Dude bros and normies just want to play games, man. They're not hyperfixated on having the greatest and most absolute microscopic level of detail. And so that brings us back into the Xbox discussion. When asked if games like Starfield and other Xbox first IPs are going to be coming to consoles like PlayStation, Phil made it very clear that what's important to Xbox and himself are getting games to people where they are. Or in other words, meeting people on the consoles they currently have. Now that's interesting. 20 years ago, you needed to buy an Xbox if you wanted to play Xbox first IPs. If Xbox spent billions of dollars buying Bethesda and Activision, why wouldn't they make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive? Why wouldn't they make Diablo 4 an exclusive? Why wouldn't they make another Viva Pinata? These are the real questions. Because, my friends, the video game market has matured a lot. Gaming is defined in different ways than it used to be. Gone are the days of neckbeards being the only gamers. The demographics for gaming have changed quite a bit. There are more women playing games. Don't get triggered, bear with me. There are more kids playing. There are more consoles and computers in more houses today than 15 years ago. And so, because of that, the strategy has pivoted. Xbox cannot command that people buy their consoles anymore. They used to have command of the market back in the Halo 2 and Halo 3 days. That only on Xbox sticker meant a lot. And now, they really can't afford to do that. You'll hear me talk about time in a lot of my videos lately. Your time is very important. Let's say you work 8 hours. You drive an hour commute, you spend some time with the wife and kids after work, you gotta sleep 7 or 8 hours, and your leisure time used to be used for gaming, and it now has hundreds and hundreds of options available in the form of thousands upon thousands of games, but also Netflix and streaming shows, but also social media and scrolling on X for 3 hours, but also the news and seeing where the world is falling apart today, but also videos like this that take the first 6 minutes to be a Dave Chappelle story with a zug-zug punchline. There are actually too many options in front of us today. You know what would happen if they made Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, or Diablo 4, or World of Warcraft, or Elder Scrolls? Everyone would say, screw it, I'll do something else. Because there are plenty of other options. Okay, yeah, like obviously thousands of people would buy Xboxes to play Call of Duty, obviously. But not all of them. Not the kid who just built his first gaming PC, not the guy who just bought a Steam Deck, not the kid who got a PS5 for Christmas, not the guy who barely has any gaming time now after his mother-in-law moved in, because the nursing home wanted all of the inheritance. You know who figured this out? What company proved this method of having the game and not the system is a great strategy in a mature business market? Fortnite. Fortnite is available on every system, every computer, every tablet, every phone, and the game is resource heavy, sometimes clocking in at 90 gigabytes, which means you don't have space for other games, which is actually diabolical. Xbox has figured out that the console war is only a war if you decide to participate in it, and after they failed to outsell the PlayStation 4, why keep fighting that battle when the real conquest is accessibility across system lines? That's where something like GamePass is actually a great strategy. Though personally, I'd love to see the financials on GamePass. Is it profitable? Does it make money? How? How do you calculate break-even on games? How do you calculate investments into games and putting them on Game Pass? Like, there's so much corporate math I'd love to better understand there, but we just don't have access to the data. But that really brings us back into the discussion and the motivation for me doing this video. Identity. The identity of Xbox and what it has become. In that Destin interview, Phil was asked to address concerns from fans that Xbox is losing its identity. And this was really a golden nugget for Phil to really get real with customers. And I think he dropped the ball. Phil explained that he hears them and that he's active in the player base, saying that Xbox's identity is always changing, but then he pivoted into a discussion about library accessibility, honoring purchases, and backwards compatibility. And is that what Xbox is defined as? Is Xbox defined as being the system that lets you play your old games? Like, is that it? On the surface, that's great. Having a company that honors all those things is wonderful. Do not get me wrong. He would even confirm basically everything I've explained so far in this video, doubling down on the accessibility on all platforms. But again, is that all? Some people will see this and say I'm an Xbox hater. Some will say I love Xbox. Here's the thing. When I was a kid, I saved up months of landscaping jobs. I did lawn mowing in the neighborhood, and it was really my grandfather trying to teach me hard work and a little bit of business. But I saved up all that money over a few months and bought an Xbox myself. And that was after a full year of middle school where all the kids were playing Xbox Live together every night. So every day, I had to listen to all these stories my friends had about their gaming the night before. So to someone like me, an Xbox will always have a place in my heart. But you know why else it mattered so much when I was a kid? Not just that my friends were having fun without me, no, it was the experiences. The games that were available on Xbox were worth saving up months for. It wasn't just multiplayer games, they had the best story games, they had great action games, they had vicious and violence, and they were pushing the limit, but also circling around into magical experiences with Viva Pinata. Xbox had the games, man. We didn't care about specs and hardware nearly as much as being able to play games quickly, with or without friends, and having the best experiences. And so my message to Phil Spenser is, I'm sorry I called you a bozo, or whatever I did in that other video. It was nothing personal. It was a joke. I do think Sarah Bond is still a bad therapist, though. Xbox's identity should not be in the nitty-gritty of that consumerism piece that you said. Consumerism probably isn't the right word, but it shouldn't be defined like that. I believe it should be defined as Xbox makes the best games, and you can't say that right now. You just can't. You spend billions of dollars buying companies. You spend billions of dollars getting GamePass going. You spend billions of dollars doing research and hiring consultants and shit. And still, it all comes back to the games. If you want Xbox to be important, make some good games again. Look at the franchises that have been squandered under Xbox's last 10 years. Halo is in the toilet right now. Gears of War, 4 and 5 were awful. Fable, nothing in decades, and this new game looks and sounds like shit. Alan Wake and Remedy partnership, absolutely squandered. Oh, hey, yeah, did you know Alan Wake and Quantum Break were Xbox first party for a little while there? Xbox was not a great partner, but long story, different day. Crackdown, first 2 were great, third was a franchise killer. Banjo Kazooie, nothing in a decade. And sure, there'll be plenty of other games where you'll say, but I like that one, or you're being too critical. Like, sure. On the micro level, you like something I didn't, or I like something you didn't, whatever. But across the board, those games were Xbox brand locked when they first released. How about some of those other companies they acquired? How are some of those massive IPs looking? Fallout and Elder Scrolls are still banished to purgatory because Todd moved them to live service instead of single complete games. Xbox hasn't moved the needle on those. Starfield was a massive disappointment. Indiana Jones might have been beloved by 12 people for about 30 minutes, but no one cared after that. Redfall was a black eye. Diablo 4 is still being debated whether it was a failure or not. Warcraft might have a resurgence, and Call of Duty continues to be a powerhouse, yes. But you can't tell me you spent $70 billion on just Call of Duty. Overwatch is taking a beating to Marvel rivals, and StarCraft is covered in dust. But don't worry, everyone. Candy Crush is killing it. And I don't want this to sound like all of this is Phil's fault. It's not. He's the leader at the top, but it's not all his fault. And really, I say all of this because I want these games to be great. I want to be hyped to be an Xbox player. I want to want Xbox. And when you're asked a very softball question like, can you put loyal fans' minds at ease and tell them you're not losing sight of what makes Xbox Xbox? I don't think you say backwards compatibility. You say we're committed to making the best games the world has ever seen. That's what Xbox represents. We have larger teams than ever before. We have invested more than ever before. And the Xbox brand will represent quality in gaming. And then you honor that shit. Because, dude, as a consumer and someone who wants you to win, I have no faith in Xbox. Please change my mind, Phil. I want to do videos saying how amazing Xbox is, that you're killing it and you're crushing it. But I cannot do that today. But I hope I can tomorrow. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. If you're new here and want to hear more from me, consider hitting the subscribe button. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. Bye bye.